Question. Kim, thanks for the reality simulator book. This is the fourth time I read it and I don't think it will be the last. It's made me feel so much better. I can't find a place to go. Everything has lost its significance. Question. What is the best way to integrate the knowledge from this book into my life? Can you share your personal experience? So the book that the person is talking about is called Getting the Life Experience You Want. Getting the Life Experience You Want. And the idea of the book is only available as an ebook. The idea of the book is that the Earth can be compared to a reality simulator. And the purpose of the reality simulator is to give you, within a certain range, any experience you want, and to let you have that experience for as long as you want it until you want something more. And the book talks about that there are two types of experiences that people are having in the simulator. The vast majority of people on Earth are having a immersion experience. They're in the immersion phase. So in other words, when you first get into the simulator, you are immersed in the simulator's environment, and you think, the reason why you're immersed is you think it's a real world. You think there is a real world out there. And what you really think with this is that your inner experience of life is determined by the outer circumstances you are facing. So, outer conditions determine your life experience, whether you're happy or not. The only way to change your life experience is to change the outer conditions. That's immersion. But the purpose of the reality simulator is actually a growth in consciousness. And there are people on Earth, spiritual people mostly, who have started awakening from the immersion experience. They're going into what's called the awakening phase. And in the awakening phase, you can go through various things, but you're starting to question the reality of the simulator. Is it really real, everything that's happening? But what you really grow from, when you really grow, is when you start questioning, is it true that the only way to improve my life experience is to change my outer conditions? Because that's when you can then start really awakening from the immersion by realizing that the only way to change your outer conditions is actually to change your inner conditions. Because this is how the reality simulator works. You are formulating in your mind certain concepts, mental images. You are projecting them into the simulator. And the simulator reflects back to you what you are projecting out. Now, when people are in immersion, they're not realizing this. They're not realizing that what is coming back to them from the simulator is a reflection of what they have projected out and what we collectively have projected out, because obviously we're not the only person in the simulator. But when you start awakening, you start realizing that, oh, wait a minute, this isn't a real world I'm in the sense that everything is predefined and there's nothing I can do about it. The world I'm in is actually created by projections from the mind, including the collective mind, but also my own individual mind. And that means that if I really want to change the experience I'm having, I have to start by changing what I'm projecting out, instead of trying to change something out there. So when you are in immersion, you think that the outer conditions are cause and your experience is effect. What happens in your mind is effect. When you awaken, you realize what happens in your mind is cause, and the outer conditions, seemingly outer conditions, are only the effect. So obviously, what's most efficient? If you want to change something, is it more efficient to change the effect than to change the cause? No, obviously it's more efficient to change the cause, and since the cause is in the mind, you start changing your mind in order to change the outer conditions. Because this will change the outer conditions, it will change what the simulator is reflecting back to you. But in order to really grasp this, you actually have to grasp that the significance of this idea that the Earth is a reality simulator is that the only thing that really matters here is the experience we're having. And the experience takes place inside our minds. The outer conditions are not really important. You can compare it to a computer game where you're playing a computer game and you are moving around with this controller you have, and you are walking into this, say it's an underground dungeon, and so in a sense you could say, well, I'm just responding to this environment that's on the computer. Because when a monster jumps out, I shoot at it. But you are moving the controller, right? So you are moving around also. So you could get obsessed with changing something on the computer and try to change what's happening on the computer screen. Or you could realize that what's happening does have something to do with how you move the controller. Right? So it's the same thing with the reality simulator. The other thing about why I brought up the computer game is when you're playing a computer game, it doesn't really matter what happens on the screen, right? You're playing the game because it gives you a certain experience. And it's the same thing with Earth. You are here, you're playing the game of Earth, the simulation of Earth, in order to have a certain experience. But this is what we forget in immersion. When we start to awaken, we realize it's all about having an experience. So back to the question, can I share my personal experience with this idea? And what really was significant for me about the idea that the Earth is a reality simulator, and it is an illustration. I'm not saying it's absolutely a fact, but the significance for me of it was, number one, what really matters here is my experience. And number two, my experience of life on Earth is not determined by the outer conditions. It's determined by conditions in my mind. So, in a sense, what this book and this idea did for me, if you take most people on Earth, they will say, there's outer conditions, there's my experience, and there's just a direct relationship between the two. Whatever outer conditions are there, if something happens that I don't like, I feel unhappy. Nothing I can do about it unless I can change the outer conditions. So if I can't change the outer conditions and make me unhappy, I can't get out of feeling unhappy. But what the book did for me is it actually made me realize there's a layer in between. So there's still outer conditions that I'm reacting to. There are other people in the world and this and that. There is an actual world I'm reacting to. I'm not saying everything is illusory. So there's the outer world, and then there's me, the core of my being, who's experiencing life. But in between are layers of my personal psychology. And there are 4 layers. There's a layer that's tightly integrated with the physical body. Then there's the emotional body, the mental body, and the identity body. And each of those form kind of like a filter. So you have a particular outer condition. I am not actually experiencing the outer condition. I'm experiencing a signal that's coming from the outside world. But as that signal hits these 4 layers of my physical, emotional, mental, and identity body, it interacts with what is there. It's kind of like you could say that there is, in the old movie theaters, there's a film projector. And there's white light shining from the light bulb through the lens. And if there's no film in the projector, it'll just be white on the screen, right? So my mind, my personal experience is the movie screen. And the white light is what's coming from the outside world. And you could say in a movie projector, that light could be red or blue or whatever. But then there are 4 film strips in between the light bulb, and the movie screen. That's the physical, emotional, mental, and identity levels of my mind. And they are filtering what's coming through. So what I experience at the level of the movie screen, consciously, is filtered by these conditions in my mind. And I've explained in many of my videos that this is these subconscious cells that we create in reaction to conditions on Earth. So, in other words, if I really want to change my life experience, it's not efficient to start by trying to change the outer conditions. The only real way to do it is to start by changing my psychology, looking at my subconscious mind, making it conscious. Why do I react a certain way? Is this the only way to react? If someone yells at me, do I have to feel guilty? Do I have to feel bad? Do I have to feel angry? Do I have to defend myself? Can't I simply say, I don't want to react that way anymore? And then I change these conditions in my subconscious mind that cause me to be pulled into a certain reactionary pattern. And now I'm free. And now I can change my life experience just by changing myself. I don't have to change other people. People may, in other words, somebody yells at me, I'm feeling really, really bad. I don't want to feel bad. So I want the person to stop yelling at me. But if I change the conditions in my subconscious mind and make me feel bad, I don't have to change the person, because he can yell at me all he wants. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. I can just look at him and say, so what? So for me, that was just a really helpful shift to realize this, that what really matters, what really affects me is my life experience. And that is very much determined by these the conditions, the contents of my subconscious mind. And by changing that, I can fundamentally change my life experience. And what I also realized on a little bit higher level is that, of course, Earth is an educational institution. It's not just a reality simulator. The purpose of the reality simulator is to help us raise our consciousness. And there is a final exam, as there is in many educational institutions. You know, you pass the final exam, you move on. And in order to move on from Earth, basically what we have to do is we have to come to a point where we don't think anything here is ultimately real. And this is a little bit tricky, because I know there are some non-dual teachers, for example, who say, oh, the world is an illusion, nothing here is real. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there isn't outer world. I'm not saying there aren't other people that are affecting me. But what I have to overcome is the sense that conditions in this world can affect me, can define me, and how I see myself and how I experience in the world. In other words, I have to overcome the illusion that conditions in the world have power over me. That's the illusion I have to overcome, to where nothing seems real in the sense that it can affect the real me. Because I realize I'm a real being, and nothing on earth can really define me. I have the potential to take command over my state of mind, to master my state of mind, and I define who I am, also define who I am in relation to earth. And that's what the Buddha called non-attachment. Jesus said, the prince of this world comes and has nothing in me. And there's a story that was very inspirational to me. I've told it several times, that as the Buddha was ready to pass the final initiation in schoolroom earth and go into nirvana, he had to face a last test, and it was that he was sitting under a tree in meditation, and then the demons of Mara, which is what Jesus called the prince of this world, appeared before him, and all they were trying to do was get him to react to something on earth. Because if he had reacted, it would have shown that there was something on earth he considered real, in the sense that it could affect him, that he had to do something about it or react to it. But because he had attained complete non-attachment, he didn't react, he looked at it, he didn't react, and therefore he could leave the reality simulator behind. So this was just some of the main benefits from the book. There are many others, because it's actually a very profound book for people at a certain level, and can really help you shift sense of identity. And of course, I had, before I wrote this book, I had Ascended Master teachings, so I'd been practicing invoking spiritual light from the Ascended Masters to transform the fear-based energy, invoking spiritual protection. So, so I was already doing that, and that also helped me tremendously. So the book sort of just helped me on top of that to shift to the point where I started realizing that nothing on earth really defines me, and nothing really defines my life experience. I can choose. So for example, you see the things going on in the world, whatever it is in the world that disturbs you. And many people, I especially seen this after COVID, where many people I know, even many people who've been on a spiritual path, got very disturbed by the whole COVID pandemic, vaccines, wearing masks, conspiracy theories, and some people with the American election got pulled into that. And the only way really, I mean, the question really is this. Do you want peace of mind? Because if you want peace of mind on a planet like Earth, which is, quite frankly, a very difficult planet, you cannot allow your peace of mind to depend on outer conditions. Because there's warfare and murder and mayhem and this and that. And it's not likely to stop next week. So what's your only option to have peace of mind? It is to come to the point where nothing on earth can take away your peace of mind, because the peace of mind comes from within. The kingdom of God is within you. And this is really where you have to come to. And a person here says, it made me feel so much better. I can't find a place to go. Everything has lost its significance. And on a surface level, it can sound negative. Like, oh, you don't care, nothing matters. But that's not really what I'm talking about here. I can't find a place to go in the sense that you can come to a point where you don't feel there's a place you have to go. There's something you have to achieve in order to have that peace of mind. And everything has lost its significance in the sense that nothing in the outer mind takes away your peace of mind, your inner peace. Because nothing in the outer mind determines your inner experience. So I'm not saying that this means we can change outer conditions easily. Obviously, over time, outer conditions will be changed as we raise our consciousness. As more and more people on earth go into the awakening phase, we will raise the earth, as it's already been happening with the advent of democracy and so on. But what I'm saying is that what will really raise the collective consciousness, change the earth, is that more and more people go into the awakening phase, where we realize that we can be here on earth, we can be an embodiment, we can face the outer conditions, whatever they are, but we still have peace of mind. We still have peace of mind within. And in that peace of mind, we are radiating a vibration and energy of peace that is helping to calm the collective consciousness, raise the collective consciousness, and therefore we can have a much greater impact on earth than if we're in this disturbed mind. Because look at it, everybody is in this disturbed state of mind trying to change everybody else. So those of us who can go beyond that, which is the immersion phase, where you think you have to change other people in order to change your life experience, those of us who can go beyond that, we can first of all change our own life experience, but it can also help raise the collective consciousness and really have a positive impact on the planet.